Hello, Ray Lee with Speedboat Magazine here with another episode of Boats and Bros podcast with my bro Myrick Coyle. And we are joining you again because it's been a minute since we caught up on all the things that have happened in this, several few weeks. Myrick,
Yeah,
how are you?
doing good. Just got home from work. Been working on boats all day, so now it's time to hang with my bro.
Nice.
But yeah, so just got back from Cocoa Beach and yesterday afternoon, then sat through baseball games all last night, hanging out with the kids, which was awesome, and watching them grow up and all that stuff. I really enjoy watching them play ball. They've got three different games at the same field last night.
Oh, wow.
So we got back from St. Louis and started watching some baseball.
That's so cool because, when we were out there visiting last week and a half, we went over there to your house and had a barbecue, and that was super fun. And man, your
Yeah.
kids are a riot, and it's fun to
Oh,
just see
yeah.
them running around and having a good time.
Yeah. The fact that they're all so, I don't know, so close in age, but from 14 all the way down, I guess 10 now, 8 now, and when we had Camden just turned 5. So Cam and Kennedy and Jax are close. I mean, it's awesome to watch them hang together and
Yeah.
battle and try to show their strengths that they have and all that. But they are competitors and they're lovers too. I mean, when I was out here, we got a swing on the deck here, and Cam, every time he'd go back and come forward, he'd say, "Love you, Dad." And I mean, it's like the
Oh,
neatest, greatest feeling ever. So
that's awesome.
glad to be home. We got Memorial Day this weekend. Busy at the shop, but get to come home in the evenings and hang out with everybody, and then hopefully get an early day on Monday, get off a little bit early. And then we have lake race the following weekend. So everybody will start rolling in town, and we'll do some boat racing here. And you can see the lake behind me. If you, within about I'd say 300 yards of where you can see the water behind me, the course is right there. So it's
Oh,
right,
wow.
it's right by
Nice.
my house this year. Tyler was actually texting Billy Moore and I today, and it was like, I think it was a 5 mile course, 10 laps with a parade lap. So just try to get the mileage down. That way you can prepare for fuel burn and stuff like that when it comes to the racing. Obviously, a race here on Lake of the Ozarks is always calm because of the water patrol doing such a good job to keep all of the outlets like the Gravois Arm, and then there's a bunch of coves right around this area that they have to police or have volunteers come in and make sure nobody comes on plane out of the cove and gets on the course. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, looking forward to that. And it's been a minute since we've recorded one of these. Last time we caught up with one another, we did some live, quote unquote, live recordings, podcast episodes on the street party of Desert Storm, which was mid-April.
yeah.
So
I
fast forward.
actually had somebody ask me. They asked me if I gargle with glass, and I was like, well, I don't ever recall gargling with glass, but if I have a few beers and I'm trying to talk over what a lot of people don't understand at that street party, I was talking over, I think Kicker had a booth right behind us,
Yeah.
and there was everybody showing off their stereos and their boats right there. And when I watched like 5 minutes of Brett Meniere's, and I'm like, I can't watch this, like, so I haven't seen mine, I haven't seen Taylor's, and so I'm sure since you edit it, you see it 100 times.
Oh yeah,
and you're probably like, oh yeah, he does gargle with cut glass, so, or broken glass, I guess I should say.
I gotta tell you, I mean, I've gotten so much feedback from the Brett Meniere episode because of that, and it was just so loose and so fun. And you guys, had just come in from Las Vegas to Lake of the, to Lake Havasu, and we just kind of hit the ground running. And people love that episode. And
Yeah,
the first time I saw
everybody
you,
but my mom. My mom said, "You guys sound like a bunch of drunken dummies." That's what she said. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I get that, Mom." So,
well, our producer, your wife, Missi Coyle, said that a lot of people loved it, and I've
yeah.
gotten that feedback too. And she's
Yeah.
encouraging us to drink more on
Yeah.
on the podcast.
Well, since I got off work an hour ago, it'd be hard to fit in as many as I got in last time. So
Right.
we'll
So
have to
let's
go
recap
sober.
Desert Storm for you guys. How was it for you? You brought your wife Missi, our producer, and the whole PBC clan. Brett Manier and his girlfriend Kate. They came out to Desert Storm probably for the first time.
His first time at the Desert Storm event, and he was blown away. He had always been kind of just I don't know if it's for me kind of thing, you know. And afterwards, he was like, "So cool, glad I came. I'll keep coming." So
that's cool.
Similar to the way people do Lake of the Ozarks, you know, it's not that easy to get here and it's really not that easy to get to Havasu by, you know, it's 3 hours from, you know, if you fly into Vegas, it's 2.5, 3 hours. Lake of the Ozarks, St. Louis, Kansas City, 2.5, 3 hours. So, you know, but once you go there, it's like, oh yeah, this is dope. And I want to keep coming back. So yeah, he was excited. I mean, we obviously got to hang out with friends, you know, customers, the Lambs hung out with us. We had that 40 Sensation out. The guys from Hamilton Finance were out there and they hung out, you know, and then we had a photographer hanging out with us. And then going up to Topak and all that up the river is mind blowing to me. When you take people up there for the first time, and you come off plane through this that no wake zone where you go around the corner, and the rocks and everything are so beautiful and red, and there was actually donkeys on the hill there, you know, walking, and I mean it's just like something out of you think Yosemite Sam's gonna pop out of the behind a rock or something like that. So so that was cool. You know, and obviously street party's awesome. And then seeing so many people, I want to give a shout out to Adrian at Barrett Customary. He's always so helpful, and especially with whether it's parking a boat for a little bit or even with parts, or, hey, I got a customer that might be interested in this boat, you know, that thing. So want to give Adrian a shout out because he's a good friend to us at Performance Boat Center and to MTI and to all that group out there. And I think it's cool to have instead of acting like it's competition, acting like it's a big family. So
right, and Adrian's great with us here at Speedboat Magazine as well. He's been a longtime supporter of us, and likewise for him. And he's really done a nice job bridging the gap from the West Coast to Lake of the Ozarks in Central Missouri.
Yeah, and I mean,
the East Coast.
Yeah, and since I mean, he's there with the GC Motorsport, or it's MTI, but man, I'm really drawing a blank here. But Gary Blue's his throttle man, and
Willie Cabiza.
And Willie Cabiza. So I see him at the races. But then, you know, and I used to see him at a lot of races when he was traveling with CRC. He would go out there with him a lot, and you know, that's how we got to know each other really. And then, but then once we started going out to Havasu more, once we got into the outboard boat stuff, and then now we've delivered a lot of sensations out there, you know, and that's one of the reasons that we campaigned the 40 out there, but then we took a 32 out there for delivery and things like that. So really, really cool event. Ran the shootout there, and you know, I think Rusty ran some crazy number, which radar gun was a little bit hot, if anybody's wondering. So
well, beyond that, they allowed a you know, most shootouts have a 40 mile an hour limit when you enter the start box. They kind of did away with that, extended the course, I think, another quarter mile, and you're allowed to get up to speed while you go through the start box.
And it helps tremendously. There's so many times that that 40 miles an hour comes into play because you might achieve it too quickly, and then you get off the throttle. Same thing in boat racing this weekend when we were doing the same thing in the Class 1 boat. You know, Tyler wasn't so used to turbo lag, and we crept up on the pace boat a little too quick, and so he got out of it. And then, of course, as soon as you get out of it, it's when the green flag goes, and he nails the throttle. and it's like 1,000, 1,000, then boost, and then the thing just launches. But it's like that 2-second drop is a big thing. And the same thing in a shootout. If you go through the box at 37 miles an hour versus 40, it's usually 3 mile an hour on the other end because you're accelerating so hard. But when they let you go, a flyby through the start box, it's a huge advantage. So good for them, though. I mean, I always like I like both ways. They're actually telling me that we're going to try some kilo thing at the shootout at Lake of the Ozarks this year. And I haven't really looked into the rules on how it works or whatever, but something different to try to figure out.
Right. I had the pleasure of meeting with Leah Martin, the director of the Lake of the Ozarks shootout, last week, and she was telling us about all the new stuff that they're adding, and they're really, really amping this one up, being the 35th anniversary, and including the kilo run where you have to go down and record a speed and the same going back, and
so then it gives you your two-way average, I assume.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and I think for the most part, I think they're trying to keep it within the professional class as far as experienced racers and such. But
they don't need another pontoon boat incident like last year. Oh, man.
So back to Desert Storm shootout. Congratulations to Gary Smith and his now wife, Patty Rich, who Gary recorded a 204 mile an hour pass in his 388 skater.
Rolling.
He was moving, and his wife, who got married this past weekend, Patty Rich, I think she got a 193. So king and queen of the desert, and good stuff out there. Yeah,
I'd say that's flying.
So beyond that, you guys wrapped it up at Desert Storm and had to head back to Lake of the Ozarks. And
I actually wasn't going to do it because the boat was showing up, the Monster Energy MCon Class 1 boat, which is a 438 skater. It is, as of 3 weeks ago, it felt like it was 2 months away from making the race, and now it's actually raced. So we didn't have to race at Marathon
from the factory. I mean, it was a bear haul from the factory when you guys got it.
It had the drives mounted on it, but they were just mock-up drives, and it had hatch hinges, hatch latches, which all this stuff is a huge help. It had fuel fills, things like that, the pop-in pin cleats. So anything that they can do while they're waiting on, something to be done, it was huge. And I give as much credit as I can to Skater for doing that kind of stuff. Thing is, it literally, it's mock-up. So, when the hatches came, they did have a scoop on the top, but they sent Ross down from Skater to help out on the final 2 weeks, basically. So we had the boat we had it running in 21 days. So, and you don't want to ever do that. I mean, you can see these bags under my eyes. Yeah. So they still haven't recovered. So
just after Desert Storm, even the boat was there, you guys, you had to take off to Marathon to run the super stock boat with Rusty.
Yeah. So 2 events during trying to rush it,
Right.
Yeah. So the Marathon race was kind of a letdown for us. I mean, everything up to it, we actually got there and, got all set up, and then we did testing and qualifying on Saturday, and it was really cool racing there along the 7 Mile bridge, and the course being, it was shaped like a boomerang kind of. And we actually got pole in the Super Cat class. So in the Super Cat class, there was, I think there was 8 or 9 boats there. And so we got pole in that. I hear something wild. I don't know what the heck that was, but it was neighbors on their golf cart going down the hill. I was like, what was that? I thought it was a siren. But there's a lot of people down here at Lake of the Ozarks. My neighbors are here, Greg and Vicky, and they have their family down. But back to the Marathon deal, we got the pole, and so we're pumped about that. And then we go to the drivers' meeting, and the super stocks, we had to draw cards, and I pull the ace. So I got race in MCon, supposed to be the third or fourth race. And then I got a race in the Performance Boat Center FASS Diesel Systems boat. And I have the pole for both of them, which like never happens. So then,
Nice.
Shit starts flying, races start happening, boats start crashing, gets late in the day, rainstorm comes through, kinds of holds it up. 450 class goes out there and a couple boats crash. Director of the Coast Guard tells Roderick, you're done. And due to the fact that, a lot of the resources, safety, of course, is getting the people that were in the accident, to their extraction point or to where there's a paramedic there to make sure they're okay. Boats are getting towed off the course, parts everywhere. So you're back at the cranes, and the cranes are, trying to right the boat if the boat didn't get flip back over already while it was out there on the water. And then it just becomes a big cluster because it's just a traffic jam. So if they were trying to get more races in, and we're talking, this is at 3:30 and the permit ends at 4:30. So they're like, we're going to try the Super Cats here in a half an hour so we're going to have to shorten the race and then probably not make it, and what if there's an accident in that, and then super stock behind that. So, everything got, canceled for the last two races, which was a huge letdown. But it's pretty much my luck to where you get pole position, the race isn't going to start. and that's, so then, we came home, worked on the MCon boat for a couple more weeks, and Billy, Jake, Greg, we had Denny welding on it. We had on parts, Dave McIntyre, one of our full-time MCon crew members, Craig Antmeyer for kind of logistics and making sure he's trying to get a truck to pull the thing because we're short a truck. And of course, Tyler and Lindsay, just trying to get everything done. And then Zoom meetings with UIM and, class one and all that stuff, helmets, intercom systems. It's mind blowing the amount of stuff that it takes to get done. And of course, Ross from Skater. And so we get into, so we get the drives from Hardcoat from SCS, Craig Sage. And, we just happen to be, installing them and for the final. And that's funny we say that because McIntyre kept saying that the whole time, is this final? Because it's what gets people that haven't done it in a while or don't do it every day. You'll have put a part in 3 or 4 times, and then it's like, okay, well, why are you taking it back out? I was like, well, now it has to get powder coated. And they're like, oh, and it's just heartbreaking because you're like, okay, that looks pretty close. Okay, now it fits. Now we got to compare. Oh, that's kind of in the way. So we have to shape it this way. Okay, now we have to pull it again. Now we got to coat it. Now we got to check it and make sure it fits for the final. Now we silicone it. We put it on. Now it's in, so it was funny that he kept saying, is this for final? Even when it isn't for final. So, but Dave's good to have around for comic relief for sure. And to help and to, Tyler had told him, keep it, because Tyler had actually asked me one time, what can I do? Is there anything I can do? I was like, keep bringing Monster. And I mean, I don't know how many you're supposed to have a day. I think it's 3 or something, but there was a couple days we had 4. So we were going through cases and cases of Monster just to, have the energy and stay up long enough to get the thing done. So, through all, or going back to the SES thing, they didn't rotate the right way. So we had planned on inboard rotation input. You turn the input shaft facing it to the right, and then you look at the output shaft where you're going to put the prop shaft on, and it's turned the wrong way. You're like, oh man. And then you go and you look at the oiling system on the inside because everybody's like, well, just put it on the other side. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But there is a side that's the input side. It's not, a horizontal input here, output here. It's like inputs over here, outputs over here. So if you put it on the other side, your drive shaft isn't going to work right. So, and the oiling system wasn't going to work right. So give other than the initial screw up, which who cares whose fault it was? It really doesn't matter because it's over now. But it was one of those things. Everybody kind of at the beginning wanted to point fingers at each other, and then Tyler's like, I really don't care. How are we going to fix it? And that's one good thing about Tyler. He's always that way. He's like, we can sit here and freak out about it, but what are we going to do? So
Right.
Craig, Craig Antmeyer hopped in a truck, got him there on a pallet immediately. Craig Sage, then gets everything fixed, gets it back to us, and he drove him down in his Suburban from Ohio himself on a Saturday morning, and we bolted him on, got everything hooked up, and final work our butts off. Couple midnights, couple 2:30 in the mornings. Billy and their wire and a fuel system, water system, air conditioning system, because this thing is black and it is hot. So all that, and then put it in the water on Thursday morning, I think it was. Kind of do a blast. Everybody's like, what do you think? What do you think? I was like, I'm in so many boats and I'm in a lot of good boats. I'm like, it ain't bad, but it's not good, kind of thing. Yeah. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, I know what a really good boat feels like. So I'm being really partial to the boat that I'm going, or really hard on the boat that I'm going to be going racing against, because that's what you have to be. If you're like, oh, it's all right. All right isn't good enough. So,
right.
Anyway, we went and tested it, pulled it out, dropped the water pickups a little bit, went out and blasted it one more time. Found a couple of little issues, nothing real big. Put the cockpit cover on. Craig brought the truck, hooked it up. Boat leaves that night really late. I think he left at 2 a.m. or something like that. And then he makes it to, actually, I don't know, Georgia somewhere, and blows a fuel line, or maybe not Tennessee, but anywhere. He had an 8-hour stoppage because of the actual fuel line in a brand new sport chassis rupturing or coming whatever it was. They needed the part, so he was down for 8 hours, got it fixed, went as long as he could before he was ready to pass out. Went and got a room, got up the next day. So Friday we are going through about drivers meetings, everything. Boat's still not even there. So all the drivers meetings and everything are going on. We do basically our due diligence with Supercat, get inspected by tech, safety, all this. So, and then the FASS Diesel Systems boat, we go through all the tech with that. And about noon, Craig rolls in. So then now it's like everybody wants to come over and see the new boat, but then tech inspectors come in, and we're not talking one. We're talking UIM class 1, a lot of people I've never met before, which is, fine. But we had a big problem with, there's a thing called a compression strut. And according to UIM safety rules, they want this compression strut in the cockpit. It's basically a bar that goes from the floor or the stringer in between the two seats and runs directly up to the top of the cockpit, right in front of the hatch that we drop in from the top. And that is to where if the boat goes over like this and it hits the front of the windshield, it doesn't allow the cockpit to basically collapse. But we had already had a meeting with another individual from UIM that they had sent drawings and Zoom meetings and stuff like that and gotten all this, but the inspector that was there didn't know about this. And I mean, he's just doing his job at that point, saying, hey, there's no compression strut, this boat isn't going to race. So we're like, what? You realize what we've done. we done what a lot of people think was impossible. I never really fretted it that much. I mean, it's like when you came over for the barbecue that night, and Dave and everybody, and we were talking, they're like, you think the boat will get done? I was like, yeah, I think it will. And they're like, well, I was like, we wouldn't be here having a barbecue on my deck on, even though it was Mother's Day, and I don't want Missi to kill me. And my mom did come over. So even though all that happened, we wouldn't have been here having a barbecue if I didn't think the boat was going to get done. But anyway, the the inspector talked to his engineer slash another inspector on Saturday morning at 7:00, and then in the morning. And so up to about noon, we didn't even know if the boat was going to be allowed in the water. APBA approved it under their ruling to where we could go out and test. And testing got ran short because of it was really rough out there and all this. So cool story. And I told Tyler that, this is the way that it is for a good story is the first time that Tyler had ever been in the boat, ever pushed on the throttles, was heading to qualifying.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, we get on plane leaving the port at Cape Canaveral's on our north side and kind of come out of the inlet there where SpaceX is and everything. It's a neat area. There's all kinds of cool stuff going on.
Yeah.
And you turn to the south and go towards the pier, and it's a couple mile run down to the race course. And he goes, well, it gets on plane. We're kind of joking with each other. And he has never been in a turbo boat, let alone, a race turbo boat, in rough ass water, heading to qualifying, in our, per more UIM rules, full, fire suit, which not used to that in boat racing.
Right.
Obviously we got our new helmets. Monster supplied us with some crazy badass helmets that are like, they have a guy in, I think it's California, that paints them, and it's so cool. But anyway, and we got that, we got our fire suits on, we got this new jacket that we have to wear, and we're in this thing. And I was like, well, bud, I mean, you might want to throw these throttles down and get a feel for this thing in the 2 miles that we have before we start qualifying under a stopwatch. So we go to, so we do it 2 miles of ripping it, and he's like giggling, just like we do the old turbo motor giggle, like Bob Teague and I have talked about so many times.
Yeah.
And then we get down in there to the milling circle, and we're sitting there, and we had I think we were fourth boat to go out of all the class ones. I think it was like Pothole Heroes, and then DF Young, or it was actually DF Young, Pothole Heroes, whoever else ahead of us. Yeah. I think I don't really remember the order, but anyway, it was, we're up, we do a lap, and the trim isn't easy to read, and you don't know what trim settings, and it's crazy. It's like the water isn't real rough, but there's certain sections of the course to where you're in an 8-footer. And it's not like you're jumping it. It's like it's so long that you drive over the top of it. And you might leave the water a little bit, but when you're in the turns, it's actually like you're surfing down them. And to have the sensation of going downhill while you're accelerating is a wild feeling. And then you have to turn in it. So the nose digs in, and you might go up a wave and then down a wave. So this is our first time rudder boat, surface dries. New skater from Skater, QC4Vs, blah. We do, I think it was a 4-minute lap. We didn't know at the time. We're not like stopwatching. We're just like, okay, let's not crash in front of everybody. Let's try to do our best and not screw up and look like a couple of jackasses. So, we do our second lap, and Tyler was a lot better on the throttles just because he was getting used to it. And we go around, and, I go back and look at everything, and we're, engine compartments are clean and all that. So, we actually qualified last place. I think it was 6th or 7th. I think 6th, but we were about 15 seconds off of, pace. And, to be honest, I was a little like, but we had the super stock race coming up right after that. So I told Tyler, I was like, if we don't have to do this third lap, because you had an option of staying out there and doing an optional third lap to like see if you could do better, or the conditions might have changed in that 15-20 minutes. I said, man, Tyler, I got this I was like, this thing's running. We made it through our 2 qualifying laps. Can we please go back? And he said, no problem. We'll go back. Let the guys check it over. We got our UIM thing that they gave it the clear. And then, so we were able to race at that point.
This podcast episode has been brought to you by Performance Boat Center. What all do you guys do there?
We do everything. We'll sell you one. We'll detail one. We'll work on it. We'll do. We like to work on Mercury products, but we'll do everything from custom power to the re-rig of a boat or repowering your existing boat. But yeah, so we'll broker your boat that you want to sell. We'll sell you a boat. We'll transport a boat. We'll even work on it in South Florida. We have a place there in Hollywood, Florida, so just north of Fort Lauderdale a little bit. So yeah, awesome. We can take care of you at Performance Boat Center.
PerformanceBoatCenter.com for all your needs in Lake of the Ozarks and South Florida.
You want me to talk about the super stock race, because that's what kind of happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So super stock race, it's, I think there was 12 boats in that field, maybe 11, but a lot. When you look around, there's boats everywhere and they're all, competitive as hell. I knew Jackhammer would be good. And, I knew that, Big East and Cole and Gary would be good. The Victories do really good in that rough water. I don't really know why that, whatever the shape of the front of the boat, doesn't slow them down as much, and they carry nice over that big stuff when you're taking the flyers. And we get this, of course we get, I think it was 8th or 9th position draw, since now the race is definitely going to happen, since I got a shitty card when we drew, or maybe Rusty even drew, but anyway, we had a poor starting position, which, isn't as crucial in that rough water stuff. I mean, it matters, but it's not like, it's not like there isn't going to be things thrown in the way of the other boats. There's going to be waves and you're going to be standing up, and there was huge seaweed mats that you're trying to avoid so you don't overheat stuff. I don't know that it came into play for anybody, but I do know that it, was something that if you can see it up ahead or see an opening in that big seaweed mat, you try to go through it, maybe where a boat went through before, just trying to avoid as much crap going through the engine as you can. So I remember coming out of that, we had a good start. We kind of hopped out on everybody, and I was actually like, hey, we're in the lead. And then it was like, they just blow by us. I'm like, well, we might be a little short on the propeller, because usually when you jump out, you're like, hey, man, we did good, until they go blowing by you. And then you're like, man, we're a little short. Yeah. A lot of people always call me short, but I was actually a little short then. And we go through the turns, and I think it was a 4-pin first turn, and that's 4-pin first turn is big. It's probably, to go all the way around it, maybe 1/8 of a mile. So we come out, and I was like, I look up ahead, and it's like, I count like 5 or 6 rooster tails. So I'm like, man, we're sucking, and, we start picking them off. And Rusty did an unbelievable job throttling the boat. And he was saying that it was really helpful that I was saying, don't lift, because and it just, a couple of boats, I think, had some issues. I think the, Bermuda boat, which them guys are really nice guys, and their boat was fast. I think they had an issue something. They actually had the cowling and the power head off of the boat, like, I don't know, it was like a half an hour before the race even started, and they come flying in, honking their horn at the ramp, and then they actually just launched their boat right off the trailer instead at the crane, just to make it in the race. And then they were out beating our ass for a while, and we do that, and then we actually got around some people, and then it was I think it was Jackhammer and Sean in the CMR boat, and then North Wing with Darren and Grant. So Grant Bergerman and Darren Kittredge. And so it was, we were really working hard, and those 3 boats were really close to the same speed, Darren's and Sean's and ours. And we were able to.
We were watching the race from the live feed because normally I'm there at Cocoa Beach, but we had to stay at Lake of the Ozarks to cover the MTI 25th anniversary party, which was amazing.
Something
We'll
else
get
to
to
talk
that
about
in a bit.
Yeah,
but it didn't seem as big or as rough as it traditionally is. But you're saying it was.
Not as much on it kind of calmed down on Saturday afternoon after qualifying in the big boat. It did slow down. And we were still short. We ran a smaller prop than we had actually ever ran on that boat in a race. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a terrible choice, but it wasn't the best choice. I think the best choice propeller was one that we didn't have, and that's what I'll always claim. And the reason we didn't run that is because we didn't have it. But back to the waves were there, but they weren't they were just, I think they said on Windfinder 8 seconds apart. So, and you could almost drive around some of them if you were to see them at the right time, or if you were able to run in a trough. Anyway, battle it out, jackhammer, clean water, obviously a perfect setup, took off on us, Reese and Julian. Yeah, I was going to say Ricky, but Julian. And they took off. So us three battling it out, took a couple chances here and there, and finally got around Darren and Grant. Made a couple shots at Sean. We were faster through a certain section. They could pull out. They could through certain sections they'd be faster than us, and through certain sections we were faster than them. Made 2 efforts. Actually stood it up, and when I saw the video, it didn't feel as bad as it actually felt in the boat. The boat, I thought we were going over, but in the video, it didn't look as bad. So maybe I just need to grow a set. But the 2 efforts that we made to try to get under them or around them, they were fast enough that they would just put time on us after we screwed up, because you have to take a chance in those turns, whether you're going to dive it in on a buoy or whether you're going to try to drive around them just like a kamikaze run, go run them on the outside. It's like, it's hard to do. So, kudos to them. They held us off, couple boat lengths.
Definitely charging on them. And ultimately you went and finished 3rd for a podium finish.
Yeah, podium.
Working away from the back.
Yeah, I think, Mark got on the radio and he's like, good job, guys. I think you were in 7th or 8th at one time and you ended up on the podium. So that was cool. Cause Mark's always, listening to our conversation in the headphones, and every once in a while he'll give us some feedback if he can, but he wasn't actually at the race because he was at the 25 year anniversary for MTI Tall.
Yeah.
Also, so that was that. And, I keep talking about Cocoa Beach. So got a podium in that boat. Congratulations, Jack Hammer. Congratulations to everybody that finished. I mean, and when I watched the replay or the live stream on Monday morning after the Sunday races, because I love Saturday races because then it frees up Sunday a little bit, and I watched it and I was like, oh, that was close, that was good, and it was fun driving. My back and butt are still a little bit sore. I always say, man, my ass took a beating, but I'm a little sore still on my back and my butt, but that might have had a little bit to do with Sunday too. It calmed down even more. I think they said 1.9 at 8 seconds on Sunday. Yeah. And Tyler and I are, of course, all nerves because of all the stress of getting the boat done. And obviously we're racing the Super Cat against 9, I think there was 9 Super Cats there, which is a big fleet of Super Cats. Yeah. And so you're stressing out about that, making sure you do the right thing and not, he had said at the beginning of the weekend, he goes, our focus is Super Cat. We're going to try to do as good as we can in Class 1, but we need to focus on the Super Cat. Just because, we have a better chance of that one, knowing that we've actually ran the boat. So then, go out in the Super Cat class, I think we, drew 6th place start. The 6th place start got us in a decent position, We actually made a run out front, but you have to maintain your lane through that big, long 4-turn sweeper. And we had to follow Pro Floors through. We came out and Dirty Money and Pro Floors were ahead of us, and we were just on Wayne and Grant again. Grant's hip around the turn, and they kind of take off to the left, and I had raced the Supercat race so much, I had my mark that I usually pick something on shore that I can use as a reference point along with my GPS. But I picked up my spot, and I won't necessarily say the word Tyler said to me, which he doesn't normally do, but he goes, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm going to the buoy." And he goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Oh, okay." And these 2 other boats are taking off the wrong way. And Pro Floors realizes a little bit after me, and then they come through Dirty Money's Rooster Tail and go to the pin, and you just kind of watch Dirty Money just heading out across there, not going to the pin. You're like, well, they're done, not saying that they weren't running good, because I give them guys huge props too, because that boat was just as fast as us in the MCOM boat. And Pro Floors was rolling too. And I knew Pro Floors was going to be there. I thought Graydale would have been better. I thought they've whipped our butt and Coco before, but it did lay down a little bit. And it took 2 or 3 laps, and Wayne kind of took a little sharp turn going towards the left-hander, kind of veering off to the right. And we talked afterwards, and I knew we were going to be right up beside him when we got to that left-hander. And I said, man, I was like, I was telling Tyler, you better get there before they do. And Wayne says, I know. He goes, if I would have been there 1 second sooner, I was going to take the nose off of your boat coming through there, because he had the outside line. But lucky enough, we got there before him. And then we were able to get around Dirty Money, but they didn't really matter. But it does help due to the fact they had missed the 2 buoys before that. It didn't matter as much getting around them other than the clean water. And then Pro Floors is kind of screwed, because now they're dealing with the wakes of 2 boats trying to catch, the front boat, when the second boat really didn't matter. I mean, but it was
Still.
It's good for us that Dirty Money was there. It sucked for Wayne and Grant that Dirty Money was there, but Dirty Money obviously is going to race as hard as they can, whether they missed a buoy or not, because you never know how it's going to turn out. We we actually lost fuel pressure in one of the turns in the last lap.
Well, despite that, I mean, they're a new team, right? They're a new team this year. Man. It's Bo Renfro's team, and piloted by Bill Pyburn and Jason Ventura.
Yeah,
and to come out as essentially rookies and do that well was pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, I talked to Bo. I never talked to Jason afterwards, but I talked to Bo and congratulated him, and then I talked to Bill Pyburn, and I was like, man, don't think that we weren't running as hard as we could, because we were, and you were right there. I heard it that we got maybe up to 5 to 9 seconds is where they would give me my splits a lot of the time, how far Tyler and I were ahead of them. And if we had a bad turn, or if we went through a section to where it was really nasty and the boat became unsettled, we would then lose a couple seconds to them. And but kudos to them.
All right, for reference, like you say 5 seconds, is that a comfortable lead when you're racing, or
it doesn't feel like, I mean, obviously it is. I mean, because if I'm 5 seconds behind, I'm pissed, but as when I'm in the lead, I mean, at 5 seconds, I have a rear view camera here. Tyler has a rear view camera. We have the Garmin with a rear view camera. Sometimes you look over your shoulder and you'll see them like getting into the turn out the window. So they're there. I mean, you feel their presence. Maybe you get out to 9 seconds, 10 seconds, then you start to feel like they're back their ways. But 5 seconds is we can screw up, or, I'm not saying screw up bad, but you can, or Jake was reading us off our lap times. And we had like 3 lap times in a row that were identical. Like, I forget what it was, 330 or something like that. And when you're going 330, you know you're running good because it's so consistent out in rough water. So it's we were on
and
point.
that boat for you and Tyler, that's like a second home, right? And that you guys won the championship last year and getting back into it, not after not being able to race in marathon, getting back into it, it's like a glove.
Yeah. It's like we were moving weight around and it's tough if you haven't been out there. And, when you went out there on Saturday in that boat and maybe run 115, 117 miles an hour, and it's a 140 mile an hour boat, and then you're going out there and you're like, man, I was sitting there and we're sitting there and Tyler and I are looking at the flags and we're actually sitting there with our umbrellas because it's so damn hot. Sitting under umbrellas, the class 1 boat sitting there with a generator and the air conditioner running, the Super Cat sitting there baking, and you're like, man, we got a lot of running to do. I think we got 140 miles of running ahead of us, and you're just sitting there waiting. It's the worst feeling in the world. But then you have time on your hands because the boats are ready and you're just sitting there playing meteorologist. I mean, you're looking at your radar, you're looking at the wind finder. There's a cruise ship parked right there and there's a big flag on the top of it. And I'm looking at it and just staring at it going, man, what should we do? So, I told Tyler what I think we should do. And he never really just goes, yeah. I mean, unless it's, flat calm and we know exactly what to do. But when you were out there, like I said yesterday, we can only run 115. And then today it was like, you might be able to run 127, 130, and 125, whatever it is. And it's hard to believe that because you just went out there and you're like, man, we're going to run 12 mile an hour faster than we did yesterday. And this little app on our phones telling us it's only this much different, from yesterday, but it was different. So we moved weight around, changed propellers, and right there on the water, actually, Tyler was handing me everything. And Lindsay and Tyler and I, and changed the propellers and moved. Craig hopped in there and moved the weight around to where we had talked about it, and we went out and won the race. So it took us a while, though. It wasn't easy, and it was definitely fun, though.
Well, we were watching that race as well, of course, and it seemed super competitive, and you guys took the win, so you guys must have been on a super high. And then you get ready for the next race in the super.
Yeah, we were on a super high for about 5 seconds from the time that we went across the start finish line, fist pumping and giving each other knocks and all that.
Yeah.
And then he hopped out and got the checker flag, and he's like, I think we should go down the beach, and do a blow by for the fans. And ultimately, if we didn't have a race, the next race, I'd have been like, right on, let's do it. But I'm playing Mr. I don't know, scaredy cat. Like they're going to leave without us, because in the meantime, we're getting a text that class 1 says, no, we're not waiting on anybody. You're like, man, we just ran Super Cat class and just won, can we please wait on us? They might've, but they don't want to. So we go back and we put Dave on the boat to drive it all the way back to the crane. And then Lindsay basically shoves us off from the dock because all the other spotters and crew members are moving trucks around and, whether they're on the beach. I mean, Lindsay didn't get to see any of the races. So, so that just goes to show how much shit's going on to where logistically
jumped out of the Super Cat boat.
Yeah.
Hopped right in the class 1 boat.
Yeah. Hopped in, put our fire suits on because we don't have to wear those by rule in the Super Cat. So put our monkey suits on, put our, hop in that and then go out there. It seemed like maybe, 15 minutes between races. I don't know, probably half an hour or something, but get out there and okay, now we're going to try our second time of ever being on the boat together, and then, have a good lap and a half. And, we were running mid 130s, upper 130s, and we're, past some people, and, we're actually, up there in 4th place. And I think we had something for Johnny, but then we blew a line off of the engine. It was, and, it's just one of those things, something that we're going to have to make better. Actually, multiple boats had the same issue, same line and everything, but we'll get it fixed. And hopefully it doesn't ever happen again, because that was a lot of work to go out and run a lap and have our hopes. I mean, our goal was ultimate goal, finish the race. Never did we think podium or anything like that. I mean, and, but you can always luck into something. But
well, I need to take you back to when you guys were preparing that Class 1 boat, because we were in town, for 12 days in Lake of the Ozarks, and we were stopping into Performance Boat Center watching you guys thrash on that boat, and it was literally like watching a time lapse thing. Each time we come in, there'd be progress, and you guys from early in the morning to late at night just working on that boat, and you guys were all smoked. And to get that done and in the manner you guys got it done and looking so good, and then to have a small issue like a water hose blow off must have been pretty discouraging.
It was heartbreaking. I'll admit. It had to be even more heartbreaking for Tyler. I mean, spending shit tons of money to get there and make your sponsor happy. Obviously, Monster was there. They had tents set up. They're a big sponsor. They had the Monster Mile, all that stuff at the course. So we had a lot of people there from our sponsor watching, and they were extremely stoked that we had won the Super Cat class, and they're great people anyway. So it's not that, it's not like they were like, what happened? Why'd you break? Right. They were just like, good job making it and all that. So, so that was a heartbreaker. I wanted to be out there doing laps. It was a 9-lap race. They were like 7-mile laps. So, it was a heartbreaker. Boat felt good. I mean, it felt way better than Saturday. We had went up in propeller, moved some weight around, and the boat was doing good. I'm not saying it was great, because it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad again. And Tyler was getting used to it. He was able to, get a hold of it and put the trim at the right angle, and then he's getting better at the throttle, because there is a little lag, and it's not as much the lag that you feel. It's just the fly-by-wire, and there is a small delay that you got to anticipate. So way different than a 3300 cable that runs to your carburetor. So that is a big deal. And heartbroken. Yeah. He in the cockpit, it wasn't good. It was like, and not bad, but it was like, so Guardian comes on, we put the vessel view up here where I can actually touch it and see it too. So it isn't just over there. And, I look up and I see port engine water pressure low. And I'm like, so I look down at the, right down here's the Garmin. I can see coolant pressure, and starboard engines at 22 pounds and port engines at 9 pounds. So I'm like, immediately look at we have indicator lights for if our bilge pump's on. Bilge pump on the port engine was on. So boom, boom, boom. Tyler goes, what should I do? Stop.
Yeah.
What should I do? Stop. What should I do? Stop. You want to say so bad, go, let her fly. It'll fix itself, but it's not gonna. So as a mechanic, I go, if you keep going, it's going to cost you a lot of money right now. And so then it's like, here, I'll hop out and look. And I looked in the video, and I could see my short ass out on the deck of the boat going, yep. See water spraying down there. And I said, shut the engine off, water stops spraying. Usually when you shut the engine off and the water stops spraying, it's nothing to do with from the water pickup to the water pump, and that's a lot of the times where like a spike will blow it, but it was actually on the engine. So the only time it was leaking was when the engine's running. So we shut the engine off, bilge pump catches up, bilge compartment's dry. We fired that engine up, get it on plane. Race control gave us permission to cross the course when the boats that are actually still running were at the other end of the course. Yeah. And so we just shut it off once we got on plane, because them rudder boats don't like to get on plane without both engines. And so then we drove it back on plane to the crane, and I don't know, put a tear in our beer. Ride. No. He was still, thank God we won the Super Cat class, because that's something to lean back on, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to,
but there has to be like encouraging points.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, like I told you, we were joking around that on when we were building the boat, and you're like, so what do you think? I was like, I think that I'll tow this thing out there with the Super Cat if I have to make the start, and obviously, so you test the boat and you're like, okay, it runs, it pumps water, it gets on plane, blah, 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 checklist, this. And then your expectations change. So it's like, well, we went from hoping it's done and making it there to now it's here. Now it's qualified. Now we've ran our first lap and hey, we're not in last place. And we're kind of charging on Johnny Tomlinson and the Allegra Motorsports, what's the name of their boat there? Yeah. Pothole Heroes, and their big victory boat that's gorgeous and all the experience they have. And so we're doing all that, and then the hose blows off, and then you go back to the crane and you wash everything for a couple hours and you talk about it, and you go to award ceremonies and you watch other people get trophies. And then you get to go to an award ceremony and actually get the trophy. So that was a big upper. And then, we're safe. The boat's not broke. I mean, it was broke for a little bit, but slid the hose back on, put the hose clamp back on, and then fire it up, flush it, and it sounds good. Hinge's not hurt, boat's not crashed. So now it's time to get it ready for I think we're going to try, even though Class 1 isn't coming to the lake race, I think that we're going to try to run some laps in the Class 1 at the lake race, just because it's a course set up and all that, and let our hometown fans see it fly around there a couple times.
And literally your backyard right over your shoulder.
Yeah, literally my backyard. Yeah. Funny to say that. I mean, never did I think that I'd live right by where the course is. So because now awesome. it's up more by the 6 mile marker and at the Horny Toad than it is down by the dam. So
so getting back into a rudder boat, was there any kind of rust on that, or was that kind of like
to be honest, it would have been, I've driven them in the shootout and driven them in poker runs and stuff like that. So I think that was actually my first official rudder boat race.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. First in an ocean setting, in an offshore setting.
Sure.
So the rough water, it's wild because the rudder basically has 2 cylinders to it. There's no propeller hook to it, all that. So as far as like the pressure in the wheel goes, it's really soft and easy. It takes a little bit for it to react, but once it does react, it's hard. I mean, not like hard to drive, but it reacts severely. So you have to be ready, obviously, by, and then you go in for your second time to slam the nose in. And you got to think when we have the drives on there and the propellers are pushing really hard, it actually pushes the back end around. It doesn't do that with a rudder boat. You got to think of the rudders just kick sideways and it just takes the back end of the boat the opposite direction and forces the nose the other way. So is it that much different? Maybe in calm water. In rough water, no, because you're really not turning the boat that hard. You're just trying to read the water and make the right calls. If I were to have been going, 145 in a flat water race that I got to yank it 180 degrees on a buoy, it probably is a big difference. But being out in the ocean in a big ass boat like that and turning it, it's not like I was like, oh, this is easier or this is way harder. Neither one of those came to play. It's just make sure that I'm doing as best as I can for the situation, basically. And the rough water situation is an equalizer. I
is there
think
a benefit to running rudder over outdrives in that situation or any situation?
Yeah. So I'll go back, and I would say the surface drives are faster around a course. And the only reason I say that is because Johnny had told me that with the Abu Dhabi MTI, they had taken the rudder off or slid the rudder out and put 6s because it had the 6s or the number 8s with the skegs cut off on it. So they had it to where they could, within a couple hours have the boat switched over to where it steers differently, and with a rudder and the drives locked in position, it was 4 seconds a lap faster.
Wow.
So
That's cool.
I think my camera locked up. Maybe you can still see me.
Yeah, it should still be going, but
you can just put
great.
like a cool video in or something like that when it's all locked up. That way nobody has to look at my ugly mug. I'm actually starting to draw.
I'll cut in that video of you looking through the porthole.
Yeah, please do. I'm surprised Vinny will have it.
Yeah.
He'll be posting
like I said,
all over
while you
social
guys were in
media.
Cocoa Beach, which there was FOMO for sure, but we were in Lake of the Ozarks while Randy Taylor and the Sism clan hosted all the MTI owners to a wonderful, wonderful weekend of their 25th anniversary celebration. I got to tell you, it was so top notch, and 2 days of just free fun boating. The first day we met at the Sism dock at their house out there, and I think there was over 60 boats and all their whole crew that showed up for the weekend. Went to Fishco first, and then to the Cave, and then went back to your home away from home, a Performance Boat Center, where they had a little pizza and cocktail mixer. So that was fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then the next day was kind of another fun run where we went to Coconuts and then to Backwater Jacks, and then back to Camden on the Lake, where they hosted everybody to just a top-notch dinner.
Mark was sending us pictures of that, and I mean, it's aluminum pictures on the tables and stuff like that of the owners' boats. I mean, like.
Yeah.
Talk about badass.
For centerpieces, instead of, flowers or whatever, they had large acrylic prints of that table's boat. So let's say,
that's dope.
It was awesome. And then, we were there with Tom Lee, who produced all those prints, and most of all of the pictures were his, and had them for the owners. And then we were there, and it was just a really top notch event. So. That was the reason we weren't in Cocoa Beach.
I mean, talk about cool. Imagine going to an owner's event / instead of just your name, sometimes they write your name, a little fancy card with you. You think that's special. Look, they put my name on the table. Then they have a picture of your boat with you flying. That's badass.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so those are definitely, on people's walls, probably right now as we speak.
Yeah.
So it's really top notch stuff. So,
so that's awesome. Congratulations. I was talking to Randy at that we had the Performance Boat Center Fun Run, and between all this stuff that's going on. So
would you actually had to sit out because you were working on the Class 1 boat?
So. I was able to make it to Mark's birthday party though. So
that was fun.
And, it was
you
fun.
Definitely cut loose.
Yeah, well,
a little bit.
The getting to talk to Randy there was cool. And he was telling me he has got a busy month ahead. He's going to do some traveling, going on a cruise and stuff like that. And they had the fun run. Then you got boat racing, all this stuff. And, I was asking him how many boats he thinks that he has built, and it was over 500. Cause I think they're on like in the 140s of the V's, or maybe even higher. I'm just making these numbers up, close to 400 cats. And I was like, isn't that wild to think that, you've built that many boats? He's like, yeah, man, it's crazy to think that I can't even remember every one of them, and it's neat. And congratulations to them, 25 years of making your business successful.
Obviously they're just on fire, and even Randy was saying, it's like it seems like a blink of an eye, the 25 years. And so but what a brand they've built.
Exactly. Good for them. So, I remember I've said it before. I remember going out into their place at Wentzville. There was like 1 or 2 boats could fit in there. Now it's like 200 employees. We're ripping these things out one a week, like we had talked about with Taylor. So,
matter of fact, me and the boys, we took a drive to Wentzville and visited the factory, and we got a wonderful walkthrough with Lacey.
Yeah, I had seen that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's on Facebook Live. So if you guys want to check it out on Speedboat Magazine Facebook page, but what a facility!
It's organized chaos. Organized chaos. Yeah, because they got
emphasis
so much
on
going
organized, and that's what I couldn't wrap my head around, is that they build so many boats with so many components, and to keep every screw.
Yeah. It's like what I was telling you when we were in that street party. I'm like, them 42 Vs, 50 Vs, 57. There is, I mean, all that stuff that goes in there. It's mind blowing how many shelves of stuff. It's like I said, it's just easy to understand batteries because most people are used to maybe 2. Your boat's big, it's got 3. You imagine having 14 Odyssey batteries in your boat, you know? I mean, it just blows my mind to think about that. I mean,
well, walking through the factory, you know, we came up on the transom end of some of those 42 and 50 Vs waiting for engines. And I'm like, something looks weird. I'm like, oh, yeah, you can actually see the transom because they're not.
Yeah, completely full of engines with no space in between.
I'm like, something's off here. I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, right. It's because there's less power right now.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to see.
Yeah. It's really wild too, to me, to see the V's with the hard tops off of them. And, you know, it's like, man, it doesn't look as cool without the hard top on the top of it. So it just goes to show how good looking their boats are with that big hard top with the wing on the back and all that.
Yeah, right. And that's just one facility out of 3. The other being Green Bay, Wisconsin, and then the third in Miami at Haulover Marina. So just awesome
that facility in Oconto, Wisconsin, I've flown up there with Randy a couple times, and it's a big, giant room. I don't know how big the place is, but it's huge, and people just laying down fiberglass and putting in core. It's a neat deal. It's organized there too. They got it going on.
Very cool. So anyway, congratulations to the SISMs and MTI on 25 years. Looking forward to the next 25. Circling back, you and I have both gotten some pretty positive comments about this podcast that we've started.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen too many negatives, but now that I said that, they'll probably start ripping me down. No, I mean, but yeah, and like we said before, I mean, we're all about, that's why I want to give this recap. I mean, just so we can talk about boats and, maybe I want to get away from, just talking about racing all the time, but it just seems like something that I do, and it comes easy to talk about it. And there's people interested in it now that, I mean, maybe 7-8 years ago, people aren't as excited, but when there's at least, 10 boats in every class, and, people are trying hard, and you don't know who's going to win and all that stuff. It makes a big difference. And, feel really excited to have our great sponsors of FASS Diesel Systems, Performance Boat Centers, Monster Energy, MCon Construction, everybody involved, and everybody's been working so hard, and even the guys at Speed on the Water and Brad made a video. I haven't got to see it yet. Everybody tells me that's badass.
Wow, Brad and Katie DiMaggio, I gotta throw a shout out to them because they were Scrapyard Media, and they have done such a wonderful job of documenting the entire build process of the Class 1 boat, MCon and Monster Energy boat, and even down to right before you guys left for Cocoa Beach,
it's like, it goes to show mechanics and people that aren't, making the sponsor money or whatever. But like Jake, I mean, I think he's like, maybe I should call Brad. It's about time, and then I think Brad was like, oh shit, I got to get down there, and kudos to them too. I think he said he was editing and his wife was driving, and stuff like that.
Yeah. They drove down 12 hours to be there that morning to watch that boat get wet for the first time. And that was cool. And even, I tried to help them out a little bit. I helped coordinate the helicopter to be overhead. Rob Rich was in the sky, and just to document the first maiden voyage.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm so focused on, do I hear anything? Does it have water pressure? Is it pumping water? Is there any leaks? I don't even notice the cameras there at that point. But
we were driving to we were driving to Wentzville at that same time, so unfortunately we couldn't be there. But I definitely wanted to get some of that. So I told Brad, I go, listen, if I set this up for you, can you just throw me some bones and some
Yeah,
pictures
yeah,
and
that's
videos?
cool. That's cool. We
so,
all get along, you know.
yeah,
And
your Rob Rich there at Performance did a great job and sent us exactly what I needed. So I was happy to
that's
be,
perfect.
yeah, I helped
That's
that happen,
perfect. Yeah, so maybe tonight I'll, you know, since I finally and everybody has told me they watch this video, I was like, it's badass. So looking forward to seeing it. Maybe I'll have some time tonight.
No, they did a
after
really
we
good
put
job.
the kids to bed.
Hats off to them. So not to pat ourselves on the back, but we have gotten some really good feedback. So thank you all for watching, first and foremost. And you know, we're really.
I'll try to sound like I haven't been chewing on glass for you all. I'll get maybe a throat lozenge or maybe some of that spray.
Well, I have to say, maybe it's because you and Brett Manier are so familiar with one another, but that has got to be one of the most commented on and people's favorite video because it was so loose and
now come here.
So fun to watch.
Stick your head in here. There's a little bro right there. Jackson Coyle.
What's up, little bro?
He pitched his first baseball game last night.
Oh, nice. How'd he do?
How'd you do? Oh, good. I don't know. He lost. He says good, but he tried hard.
I was refereeing his battle royale wrestling match.
Yeah, WrestleMania on the couch between him and his little brother. Get over here where people can see you. He's just sitting there with these big old green eyes.
Yeah, flying off the top rope and such.
Show everybody your tooth.
WrestleMania.
Now you're.
What's up, bud? What's up, bro?
He was at the marathon race and he had this loose tooth, and Mark and Andrew Mackey were talking shit and said that, you know, we'll give you $100 each if you pull your tooth in the next 30 seconds. I guess it got down to like 2 seconds. And he's like, where's my $200? Is that true? Yep. So he had a $200 tooth fairy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think
who's all in it? Me and Ray.
Pretty much caught up.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so yeah, appreciate everybody. We were actually together the other night, and you got an email or something like, "Hey, we're trending in Denmark." I was like, "Really? That's pretty cool."
Third in Denmark in sports, so that was pretty cool.
Nice. Do they have sports in Denmark? Probably soccer. I don't know how much boat racing. There probably might be a boat racer from there. If anybody knows a Denmark boat racer, hit us up.
Right. We'll have them on.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Cool, Ray. Appreciate doing this. Mark, I hope people get some insight.
Catching up with you. What else you have coming up?
Oh, we got Memorial Day weekend, Lake of the Ozarks. So that's a big deal. Got to get as many boats as we can fixed and working well. We have, after that, we have the race here at Lake Race. And then I'm sure there's another event, maybe Outboard Fun Run, maybe. Oh, no, actually, I think it's the Cigarette Rendezvous. And we have the Mercury 50th anniversary, I think is what it is, in Charleston, South Carolina. And then we have Sarasota race. So I'm sure there's an event every weekend. Yeah. We have Buck Cherry at High Tide this weekend. So pretty pumped about that. Bugsy gave me a call today, said, "Hey, I got a VIP table for Heather's birthday. So you're invited." I'm like, right on. Little Buck Cherry this weekend, Saturday night at High Tide.
Awesome in concert. If you guys haven't seen them, go to High Tide this Saturday, right? Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday, Memorial Day weekend, High Tide. Buck Cherry event. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it sounds like a lot. I never remember what I got going on. I mean, literally, it could be Thursday. And
you got in trouble by Brett for not getting the schedule right.
Oh yeah, so he can scream at me some more. I'll make my face or whatever. Because he's way better with the logistics, but it's because he pumps it all in his phone and I don't. Right. I like those ones that I get an email and I look at it and it puts it in the calendar for me. I don't want to have to type it in there because I'm too lazy. Just like when you look at my email and there's 10,000 emails and it about gives you anxiety.
Yeah, for sure.
You're like, are those real? I'm like, oh yeah, I got 10,000
Yeah.
emails I haven't looked
Yeah,
at.
'cause
And you're like, I don't have
I'm one of
any.
those guys that I can't have a single badge on my phone because it'll drive me crazy. So I clear that out.
Yeah,
and then
mine
just
just
move on.
red dots everywhere. And Ray's having a stroke while looking at my phone. Is that real? I'm like, oh yeah, man. That's funny.
Yeah, that's my brother.
Okay.
Anyway, Myra, good catching up with you. Thank you for watching. This has been another episode of the Boats and Bros podcast. Please like, listen, rate, share, and keep us going. We appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of the Boats and Bros podcast.
Boats and Bros. Boats and Bros.
This podcast is powered by Speedboat Magazine. Subscribe now at speedboat.com for 9 power-packed current issues a year direct to your mailbox.